exciting thing to do now is to present our Dr Tonya Kara Memorial Award. So you will have heard Murray speak earlier today about Tonya. She was one of our TSC champions in New Zealand. Oh, I think I'm going to cry already. And she sadly passed away earlier this year. So many of you will remember her and Murray, the entertaining speech they did together last time we had a conference in 2004. And she was very involved in organising the doctors who spoke at that conference. She was a doctor with a passion for caring for her patients and supporting her colleagues in nephrology and paediatrics to provide the very best of care for their patients. And she was also a really fun, warm human being who touched our lives, and we are grateful for her. So to honour Tonya's contribution to TSC and care in New Zealand, and with her family's blessing, we have created the Dr Tonya Kara Memorial Award for service to the TSC community. So sit here. And I would like to invite one of Tonya's best friends, Dr Helen Evans, to come and present this award. Would you like to say a few words as well?
Yeah, I can prepare a few words.
Yep, that's okay. Great. Yep. Should we do that first and then I can say
yeah,
that?
I can. Yeah, I can.
Yep. Okay.
Do excuse my voice because I've had a bit of a flu illness, but I'm delighted to be here today to present this award in memory of Tonya, who wasn't just a colleague but a very dear friend. So Tonya started working at Starship not long after me, and we bonded because we had a lot of things in common. And at the time we were both young, not so much anymore perhaps, and we were both females working in teams that were entirely otherwise male, and we were both Welsh. And if I'm honest, Tonya was always a little bit envious because she thought I was more Welsh than her, which is actually true, but yeah, it was a little bit of a sticking point. And like all good friends, there were lots of differences. I've always been a bit more adventurous, prone to disasters and chaos, and I'm always late, whereas Tonya was always very organised, and she was never late, and she was an absolutely terrible, incorrigible gossip. So if there was anything that needed to be known around the hospital, she was always the person to go to. And I have to say, it's one of the things I miss the most, is, you sort of see, I'm walking down the corridor and I've, heard something quite interesting and think, oh, I wish I could tell Tonya that. We spent a lot of our time together eating our way around Auckland, travelling around the country and going overseas because I'm a gastroenterologist, so I look after liver transplant patients, and she was a nephrologist and looked after kidney transplant patients. So we often went to transplant conferences together, generally causing a lot of trouble and having a lot of fun in the process. And we became known around Starship as the Terrible Twins. And to the latter part of Tonya's life, I was actually her boss. And so we had to, pare down the terrible behaviour because we had to be seen to be behaving. It is very poignant that you invited me here today to Wellington because we enjoyed many trips to Wellington with work and also for the wearable arts. There was a while when we came every time. And it was one of Tonya's very favourite places in New Zealand, and she had many friends here, people like Murray. We always went to the Welsh Dragon Bar. I don't know if you know where that is. Used to be public toilets, and we always had some Penderyn Welsh whiskey, and we didn't actually like whiskey, but it was the only Welsh, actually made in Welsh drink that they had on the menu there for a little while, so we had some anyway. Then they started making this Bailey's type drink out of it, so that was a bit nicer. And of course, she took a tea towel from her home village there and put it on the wall. Not that she'd ever lived there, because she wasn't actually that Welsh, really. But her sister lived there, so that's why the tea towel went on the wall. And in the Rugby World Cup in 2011, we spent a lot of time in there because Wales was based here for their first few matches. And we dressed up in our Welsh kits with our daffodils and our leeks and bonded with everybody. And late last year, when Tonya knew that she wasn't going to survive, she said to me, would I bring her to Wellington for one last time? And actually we had breakfast together, didn't we, Murray, in the Sofitel Hotel. Caused a lot of chaos there as well, I think. And she really, really wanted to come back to the capital again and say goodbye to some of her favourite people. And we went to the Welsh Dragon Bar, and it was very strange because we didn't know this, but it was the last night it was open. It had changed hands and it was going into new ownership. And it wasn't closing down, but it was going to be a different sort of a bar from there on. And so it seemed somewhat ironic and quite poignant. But the most important thing is that when Tonya became unwell, one of the things that she said to me was, "My career is over." And Tonya had a career that touched a lot of people because she did a lot of different things. She was clearly a passionate paediatric nephrologist. She did a lot of teaching. She trained a lot of junior doctors to come through their exams and to pass their exams, even some actually really bad junior doctors who otherwise maybe wouldn't have done so well. But she was a real perfectionist. She gave everything to her work. She wouldn't mind me saying this, she was a single lady right up until the end of her life, and her work was her life. She was absolutely passionate about it. And I said to her, well, you know, your career may be over in as much as you're not going to work anymore, but your memory and everything you did in your work will live on for a very long time. But there was nothing she liked more than advocating for people, standing up for people, disadvantaged people, people who didn't have anybody else to stick up for them or support them. And I know she particularly enjoyed the meeting a few years ago when she came and spoke to you, and that lovely photograph was taken, and which I think is one of the nicest photos of Tonya, because it sort of really sums up, you know, her funny little smile and a little giggle, and I imagine she'd just said something a bit naughty, probably slagging off a boss or something, you know. So nothing would have made her more delighted than to have an award named after her, and for those of us left behind, it's, you know, it's really lovely to be able to honour her in that way. I have spoken to her sister Layla. I've stayed in touch with her, and she's actually Tonya's only surviving direct relative, and she's been absolutely thrilled that you've chosen to recognise Tonya in this way. So it still seems unbelievable to us that Tonya's gone, but to be able to continue to honour her like this is great. I would just say that Tonya would urge you all in your battles with health problems to remember that you can still enjoy some great things in life, even if when you're unwell, and particularly the interactions you have with the special people around you. So thank you again for asking me to be here today, and I just wanted to share with you one of Tonya's favourite sayings, which is a Welsh proverb. Benthyg dros amser bydd o'i popeth a gair yn y byd hwyn, which means everything that you have in this life is just borrowed for a short time. So make the most of it. And thank you again.
Thank you, Helen. That was wonderful. So this year's recipient is also a TSC champion in our country in the nephrology field. He's supported TSC New Zealand in many ways through speaking at our nerve-wracking conferences, attending the International Research Conference held in Windsor in 2015, educating his colleagues about advances in TSC care and advocating for access to medicines. He has also helped us recruit speakers for today, and today has been a really great day because of his help. He's always happy to connect with our community when we are needing advice. He even managed to choose a great restaurant for Petrus and Lisa and me to go to this week. So I think you have probably guessed that our recipient of Dr Tonya Kara Memorial Award is Dr Murray Leikis.
Special.
Isn't it? I think you have to say something now.
Oh, Lord. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I mean, this was a complete surprise to me. I didn't know about this at all until I saw the award thing on the timetable, and never dreamed it would be me. But it really means a lot, especially, I mean, Tonya was a wonderful woman and really put her heart and soul into everything she did with her work, but never forgot friends, never forgot patients. In fact, every time we met, she talked stories about patients and the wonderful things they were doing, and was in contact with patients on Facebook and showing us, oh, this person, look what they've done here, and they're real champions.
Yeah, all the sort of things I didn't need to know about as her boss.
So this, I feel very privileged and honoured to receive this, so thank you very much.